Because he's not a guy who turns the ball over a whole lot. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. But he did throw some balls to A.J. Brown. I didn't think the Steelers' coverage was bad.
No, it wasn't bad on the 2 touchdowns on the right sideline.
Right.
I would say for most quarterbacks, that's absolutely the fact. Oh, no, there's no question when you feel that you have a great receiver who's going to win at the catch point or make contested catches, you're more than willing to throw him the ball without question.
Right.
Jeff, especially if there's a one-on-one situation.
Yes.
Because A.J. Brown has sworn, and it's on record, that he's not, if you throw me the ball, it's either I catch it or it's going to be incomplete. Right? And those are the things, that's the mindset that you have to have as a receiver. And if a quarterback knows that, as long as you're one-on-one, it's either going to be a touchdown, catch, or incomplete, we're fine.
Right. Did you have late hands, though?
Late hands?
Yeah.
I wasn't fast enough to have late hands.
I'll admit it. Because he has some super late hands, and he never gets called.
Yeah.
It's amazing the little nudge he gives. We talked about this in May. Jeff and I were at OTAs, and Slay's standing right there. There's no way this ball should be caught. And he went like this. And he caught it. I'm like, wait a minute. How did he do that?
Yeah, usually late hands is when you got a guy by a step and you're trying to wait for the ball to come down and you're late. I never had that much of a step.
3rd and 6 on a quick out versus off coverage is not necessary. Not late hands.
There's times where you show your hands, you try to catch everybody, but yeah.
You know, it's funny, to play off what Jay said about Brown, to me, he's a fascinating guy to watch because when I watch him, I don't think that his movements are sudden, but yet there's an explosive way in which his body moves. But he's not, there are certain receivers that you just watch them and they're so twitchy in the way they move. You go, wow, that guy is really sudden.
Yeah.
He's not like that. But my guess is if you're playing against him, and obviously I'm not out there, but this is just from years of watching tape, my guess is if you're playing against him, he's quicker than you think he is.
Right. And maybe even a little stronger, too.
The strength is ridiculous.
The strong part.
But that's the thing. The strong with the speed and the quickness, that combination is just too much because all it takes is just a nudge, and now this guy has you off balance and he's running full speed still.
Now, go ahead.
I just say, Greg, one more question. So, you watched all of A.J. Brown's snaps in Tennessee. How are they using him differently here, comparatively?
Well, Tennessee, he was predominantly the boundary X. Okay, so he lined up as the single receiver to the short side of the field. And when you're the boundary X, what they did a lot with him, because the pass games are different, they threw a lot of slants to him, and he's so physical inside catching the ball. One of the things, the term that a lot of people use, and you use it when you're watching college players, is he's phenomenal catching through contact and then immediately becoming a runner. That's a lot of guys can catch the ball with contact, but then they're done.
They're in the space.
Then they're done.
Yeah.
He is so good at catching the ball when there's contact and then continuing with power and strength. Yeah. And that's a rare trait that he has that not a lot of receivers have.
And what that is this excellent balance, but it's no fear. When there's fear, there's drifting. When there's drifting, your body's out of position in order to be balanced, to stay going, to keep moving.
That is such a good point.
So when you don't have fear and you can stay on balance, man, it's a dangerous thing.
I remember Jaws telling me about receivers, and I wish I could remember the specific guys, but about receivers that they knew after 5 minutes when they ran in breaking routes that they were drifters.
Yeah.
Because then they drift away because they don't, and that kills the quarterback. I mean, that for the quarterback.
You mean for contact?
Horrible.
They didn't want.
You drift away. You drift away for two reasons, right? You drift away. Number one is because you don't trust your hands.
Right.
Ooh. Right. So you're trying to get the perfect catch, right? And the other thing too, when it comes to like just drifting in general, you're not as competitive. And that's the thing we talked about earlier, how competitive you are.
Right.
Because you have to, like, when the ball's in the air, you have to go down negative. We talk about run negative in order to get the ball. And usually doing that, you're competing with somebody for that ball. You're drifting, you're letting the guy get in between. Quarterback's going to hate your guts.
Oh, no, I remember Josh telling me that pretty early when we started working together about receivers that drift.